voice. Unless y'all want to help me teach, remember, tomorrow I'm looking for another teacher.
I'm a teacher.
I'll teach.
Okay, listen. Now we're going to go over female bodies, okay? The female body has breasts, and they are typically able to lactate. Lactate means to make milk or feed a baby, right? The breast has glands that fill with milk to feed the baby when it nurses. Okay. Okay, this one, the pubic hair covers the mons, which was like the part underneath the pubic hair, right? And the outer labia. See the labia is right underneath the mons. Just below the pubic hair is the genitals. The genital area of the female body has several layers of sensitive tissues. In the picture, you can see that there are two folds of skin, or lips, it might be called, that surround the genital area. These are called the labia. We actually have, we call, in health class you might hear, it's called the labia majora, which are the outer lips, or the labia minora, which is the inner lips. The labia provide protection for the vaginal opening. The area surrounding the labia is called the vulva. See the vulva? See that in this one? The vulva and the labia are made of tissues with vessels that fill with blood during arousal. Inside the labia is the urethral opening. And what comes out of the urethral opening? Urine or pee. Just above the urethral opening is the glans or the clitoris. The clitoris is a shaft that has a ball-like glans at the top. The only purpose for the clitoris is for pleasure. Okay, so it feels good if it's touched. The clitoris is a very sensitive organ that becomes erect during arousal. Now below the urethral opening is the vaginal opening. The vaginal opening is the beginning of the internal sex organs for females. It is slightly covered by a thin membrane called a hymen. Has anybody heard that word? Hymen? Hymen is the thin piece of skin. The thin piece of skin called the hymen actually breaks in females. Okay? It was thought back in the day that this piece of skin only broke during sexual intercourse, but that is not true. You could be a gymnast, or you could have fallen on your bike, or you could have done the splits too hard and maybe felt like a small pain before, or even had a small amount of blood, and that could be your hymen breaking. So if you don't have a hymen that's intact, that does not mean you have not had sex. Now, this is a lot of them. Okay? The vagina is a muscular tube-like organ. The vagina is only about 3 inches long. During sexual intercourse and childbirth, the vagina can extend and lift up to be longer. So it stretches, it can stretch longer, and it can stretch bigger around. The walls of the vagina rest together when there is nothing inside. So it doesn't always stay wide or long unless there is a penis, a tampon, or another object in the vagina. The walls of the vagina stretch to fit whatever's in it. The vagina releases a fluid to help keep the area moist, especially during arousal. During childbirth, a baby typically is pushed out of the vagina into the world. Now, every now and then, and we'll go over this at some point, but a child might not come out of the vagina, okay? There could be something wrong. There could be something, any reason that the doctor might choose for the baby to not come out of the vagina. Okay, there's many different reasons. And that would be when a woman has a C-section or a cesarean section. You might hear that word, okay? At the top of the vagina is a circular ring-shaped organ called the cervix. See the cervix? The cervix is the entrance into the uterus where the fetus grows. So, the fetus, or the baby, is up higher than the cervix. The cervix is what stretches out during childbirth, which we'll be talking about tomorrow, to let the baby come out. It typically stays closed enough until the sperm can enter, which is about 0.8 centimeters in diameter, so just teeny, teeny, tiny, which is about the size of a point on the pencil. When a baby is born vaginally, the cervix stretches to approximately 10 centimeters. That's about like that, okay? About like that, 10 centimeters in diameter, and the baby moves out of the uterus through the vagina to the outside world. Above the cervix is the uterus. See the uterus? Uterus. The uterus is a pear-shaped muscular organ that is only about 8 centimeters or 3 inches long. It is a small organ that will stretch to fit a fetus that is developing inside. So, another word for your uterus could be womb, okay? It's where the baby is in the womb, and it stretches as the baby grows. After the birth of a baby, the uterus goes back to the same size as it was before. The uterus has a lining called the endometrium. See the endometrium? During puberty, the endometrium tissue begins filling with blood each month to provide for fetus if the pregnancy occurs. Now, and this is a little bit more tomorrow. I keep saying that, there's a little bit more tomorrow, but we're teaching you kind of the terms today, and then we're going to go over more of the mechanism tomorrow. If pregnancy doesn't occur, then the endometrium will slough off, and that's when you have a period. That's where someone asked that question earlier about the blood, or if you know if it's blood, if you're in your period, or blood in your urine. And that's when blood comes out of the female. The endometrium is slowly discarded by the body in the cervix and the vagina, okay? This is called menstruation or period. This typically lasts 4 to 7 days, and it's about every 28 days, okay? So about once a month, the tissue is sloughed off and you have a menstruation or period. Some have longer periods, some have shorter periods, and that is okay, that's normal. Now, at the top of the uterus are 2 tubes. See the 2 tubes? Called the fallopian tubes. The fallopian tubes have tiny little hairs called cilia inside. The cilia help to move the female reproductive organs along the tube, okay? So these tiny little hairs in there, and then kind of some mucus help move them through the tube. At the end of each tube is typically an ovary. See the ovaries? These are the reproductive organs that hold the cells or the eggs. And did you know that you're born, at birth, you are born with all the eggs that you'll ever have? How interesting is that? So, girls typically, for example, when you're born, you know exactly basically how many periods or menstruations that you'll have your whole life. Unless you have like the hysterectomy, remember that we were talking about, or anything go wrong like that. The female body typically has about 1 million eggs at birth. Between the age of menstruation begins and at the end of menstruation is called menopause. So, after you cease menstruation, that means menopause. And that is at different ages in your life, but typically like, say, in your 40s or 50s.
I learned this the other day, since the woman born has all the eggs she's ever gonna have.
Yes.
Technically, if you're pregnant with the daughter, you're pregnant with your daughter and your granddaughter.
Wow.
At the same time.
That is kind of
Yeah,
weird.
think about it.
And your great-grandma.
Think about it.
Because every woman is born with, like, you know how men, we produce sperm forever. But women are, like, at birth, all the eggs they ever will have are what they have. So, Miss Micah, when she gave birth to Hannah, technically she had also whatever kids Hannah may or may not have in the future, let's say. So technically, she had her daughter and her granddaughter at the same time.
Oh, wow.
That's cool, isn't it?
Cool. Huh.
Isn't that really cool how
Crazy
God
that-
makes our bodies like this? We have so many different neat and exciting things that our bodies do. It's really like amazing to me. Now, one of the major events of puberty is the beginning of the menstrual cycle. After each cycle, remember the endometrium, it sloughs off and we have menstruation. Now, during ovulation, that's when the ovary is released. That's the egg, it's released. Ovulation occurs every 4 weeks, just about. Now, if the egg is, if you're in the stage of ovulation and the woman has sexual intercourse and a sperm is in the vagina, then it can actually fertilize and goes up the tube, and it can actually create what? A baby. That's when it can create a baby. So that's when fertilization would occur. Okay? Now, I know that's a lot of information, so we're going to do a little bit of the question box next. Also, let's take off first. Let's turn up the lights a little bit. Let's take off our words. Gabe, you get to take off 2 words that we've learned.
Yay.
Okay, then Lily. I'll take off 2 words. Go take off 2 words that we've learned. Oh, she can do it. And then Wesley, you're up next. You're gonna take off 2 words next.
Yay.
So you can start. Go take off 2 words that we've learned already tonight.
We learn about oils.
Not yet. We didn't do oral sex yet.
About hormones.
Do what?
About hormones.
Hormones. Yeah, we've done hormones.
Yeah, that's
I don't
what it
remember.
is.
Right? Yeah, we've done ejaculation. Yes.
We've learned
Hormones.
Hey, Lily. You find it? Okay, good. Okay, Reagan. Reagan's gonna take off a couple words and then, you wanna go take off a few? Go take off a few. You feel like the men are asking, or y'all men?
Or the boys.
The boys are asking questions? Okay, who else wants to take off a few more words? Camille? You want to take off a few? Annabelle? Patty? Sorry. Patty? Can y'all believe we've learned about this many different words? Camille, you can take off
We learned
more.
about
You can see a few more.
uterus.
Uterus, yes. Uterus is one we learned about.
Ew.
Urethral opening, yes, we learned about that. Okay,
Good from grabbing.
good. Okay, we did hymen. Get hymen on. We done that one. I mean, we've done a lot. Yeah. Thank you. Oh! Can you get a hand?
You just stop poking myself. Come here. Behind you.
Okay, Gabe, take off testicular self-exam, slough off. Right beside you.
What about like estrogen?
Epididymis, we've done that. Yeah, you could do estrogen.
This.
Yeah, that one we've done. Yes, we've done testosterone. You've done seminal vesicle, menstruation, yeah. Prostate gland, yeah.
Fallopian tubes or fallopian?
No, I'm not gonna try.
Done fetus, right? Yeah. Use that one.